Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here tonight with Act 4 of our household mini campaign titled All the Little Things. Um, this should be the finale. You heard it here first, I'm sure. We're going to do our best to stick to that. We're going to do our best to stick to that. Right? Right. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give the same warning that I give on the beginning of all of my videos, and that is if foul language and mature subject matter are problems for you, then this is probably not a safe game for you to watch. Even though it's about little tiny people, that seems like it should be geared towards kids. Well, you're here, so um, I'm going to pass things. Oh! A particular word of warning: if you have arachnophobia, if you have a fear of spiders, especially this episode, is probably a good idea to skip. So, goodbye.
You
Um,
and I both.
same. Y'all hang out too much. Um, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, tell you what they might have going on, or where you might be able to find them on the internet. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and start this game. So, first we're gonna start with Jake.
Do you mind if I make my special announcement that you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, please do.
All right. So, hey, everybody. I'm Jake from Mini Terrain Domain. That's where you can usually find me over on Mini Terrain Domain Twitch, running Pathfinder or Kids on Bikes, in which Jeremy is one of the players. I run D&D offline, and we have a D&D game over there. But speaking of D&D, the special announcement on Saturday, April 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, you are going to want to tune in to twitch.tv/mini terrain domain because we are hosting Todd Stashwick's Nerd Circus Presents The Legends of Eleonora Zephyr Against the Mist. It is our second Legend of Eleonora charity fundraiser D&D celebrity event benefiting the Pamela Foundation fighting childhood cancer, and the lineup this time is incredible. Dungeon Master Todd Stashwick will be hosting celebrities Jonathan Frakes, Deborah Ann Wall, Michelle Hurd, and Will Wheaton, along with one or two people who can bid. There is an auction taking place right now. I believe the bidding is up to $6,000 for one seat. This is a high ticket item because, in case you didn't hear, I said Jonathan Frakes. That's Commander Will Riker of the Enterprise. Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher, Deborah Ann Wall of Daredevil and True Blood, Michelle Hurd of Enterprise. Um, I don't know what this life is that I get to produce these amazing people for an incredible charity event. So yeah, Saturday, April 20th, please come in, see an amazing game and help us raise money for an incredible cause to fight childhood cancer. Um, I will be for this game, I will be playing Dr. Mercer Alexis Meredith. I am a sprite, a salamander, a scholar, a doctor, physician, and an all around good guy. That's me in a nutshell.
Dude, I'm super thrilled that you are producing a second one of those Eleanor games. Like the first one was absolutely fantastic, and
And
I'm really excited for the next one.
credit where credit's due. I'm only half of the production team. Dwight, the big
Yeah,
bearded nerd,
absolutely.
is a part of this, handling things behind the scenes as well. Um, it's truly an amazing thing that we get to do.
Yeah. Um, I'm very excited to be on the mod team again. It was a lot of fun to do last year, or at the end of last year. So I'm excited to be on the team again this year. So I'll be there. So if you want to stop by and hang out with us for a bit, if you got some extra money laying around that you want to give towards research to fight childhood cancer, then stop by. All right. Next up, we have Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen, also known as Miss Thing Gears. You can find me here, and every other Tuesday, you can find me over at Mini Terrain Domain, and that's pretty much where I live right now. I am so looking forward to that game on the 20th. Can't wait. It's going to be pretty exciting. So, yeah, you gotta come see that. Anyway, tonight I get to play Cassiani Victoria. Kind of a flaky little fairy, but her heart's in the right spot most of the time. And I'm looking forward to get back into this game.
Absolutely. A pleasure as always to have you back, Karen. And next we have Sarah In. You're muted. Or really good at pantomiming. One of the two.
I am not.
Oh,
My
well, okay.
Zoom switched my mic and I'm SETI. So I'm Sarah. Really excited to be back here. You can find me on Jake's channel, however it points, Jake's channel, Mini Terrain Domain every other Tuesday for Sky Metal Iron Gods. I play a Goliath Oath of Vengeance paladin, named Zari. We have a lot of fun over there. We've taken quite a bit of a break, but I think we're gonna get back rolling with our hijinks game on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/AsirSyn. For this game, I am playing Rosalind Victoria, a duelist fairy, virtuoso, who lost her wings, and so now she has to wander like the normies.
It's not so bad being a normie.
Nah.
Like I am a normie.
I'm literally a normie. That was one of my nicknames in the army was Normie. So,
and now we all know you're a dad too, Jake. Next up, we have Nathan.
I'm Nathan, also known as Dimension 119. Dimension 119 is pretty much where you can find me on all the socials. I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. I do mostly video games right now. We do an Adventures in Middle Earth game called The Lesser Rings every other Wednesday night. It's a lot of fun. We've got our lore master, Kevin, is pretty much a god at the lore of Lord of the Rings. So, as well as knowing how to play our characters that we don't know how to play, apparently. It's a lot of fun. We have a great group of players that it feels very Lord of the Rings, but it also feels very kind of almost Monty Python-esque goofiness at times. But we get up to some weird shenanigans in Middle Earth, but we also get into a lot of shadow. My current playthrough, video game wise, is The Witcher 3. I'm really enjoying it. I'm trying to complete all of the side quests and before I do any main quests. So I've got about 90 hours in the game right now. And I'm like in the third area. So we got a long ways to go, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah, do various other party games and multiplayer games and survival games. And I've just recently been officially added to the team of another project that hasn't been officially announced yet. But yeah, it will be announced very soon, and I'll be able to talk about it a bit more. And I'm super excited to join that team.
Ooh, secrets. Very nice. No, man, I'm excited for you. It's always awesome whenever a project kind of gets started, gets off the ground like that. Well, I look forward to it, man. You'll have to let me know what it is. And anybody who has a link to a channel, you should be able to find it in the description of this video. If you find that it's missing, please just let me know. If any of you have a link that you want to share out and it's not in the chat, then or in the description, then send it to me in our chat, and I'll make sure to include it. All right, last but certainly not least, we have my sister from the same exact mister, my literal sister, Sarah.
Yes, I am Sarah. I'm ready to get back into this creepy, quirky little house with all these fun little people. I am playing Philinia Pine. She's a sprite, and she cares for all the animals, kind of a vet of sorts in this house. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Little vet in the house. All right.
Hey, Jeremy, before we get
Yes, sir.
started, I
Yes.
want to show everybody the shirt I got from you that
Oh,
everyone should
yes.
go check out on your merch store. Try to sprout it or sport it every time we're playing a game together.
Critties need support, you know? So, absolutely, I appreciate you sharing your critties with us here on the channel. Yeah, there is a merch store. I may or may not have included that in the description here, but if not, then again, somebody shout at me and I'll make sure to do that. Yeah, I have a couple of t-shirt designs and stickers and all that kind of stuff. That is one of the designs. Wild Critties. Okay. I think then, without further ado, then we can get started. Let's play some Household. Stories have power. Where you can see this power best is simply by listening to children recount their favorite tales. The power that stories have lies not in the fantastical nature of the whimsical trappings or ferocious monsters contained within these tales. Though these things fuel the imagination, the true power of stories is that they teach us that we can change the world by righting what is wrong within it. As an audience, it presents us with seemingly insurmountable struggles, often armed with fang or claw or dark magics. And along come the heroes who teach us the virtues needed to defeat monsters, so that we may aspire to such heights in our own lives when monsters cross our paths. We rejoin your small band, making its way through the Yule Tree forest, situated in the corner of the study. This once decorative Christmas tree has fallen over and has sprouted into a forest all of its own. The pinewood is what this area is called, and it is known for being hazardous to travel through. In the Yule Forest in particular, it is known that there is a lot of insects and large creatures. Cats, squirrels, raccoons, things that are terrifying at your height and scale. Just above the Yule tree is the cracked window, where weather is allowed into the house, which during the winter makes this particular corner incredibly cold. But as of right now, it's not that bad weather-wise. You have just come from a mirrored maze of sorts. A collection of broken glass and ceramic ornaments that caused a lot of confusion as you tried to make your way through it. It was very easy to get turned around here. However, your guide, Ronan, has done a successful job of making sure that you were able to navigate through this space. And you have cleared that particular challenge. When all of a sudden you noticed that there was movement happening in the forest around you, almost as if you were surrounded. And just about the time that you realized what exactly was going on, You looked up to see that there was a very large pinewood spider that was descending towards you. You realize now that some of the tree trunks that you thought were trees around you were actually the legs of this spider. So, what are you going to do?
I'm gonna try to ignite a fire. Is there some sort of something I could use as a torch on my person,
Potentially.
maybe?
Yeah, potentially. I imagine you there were some that were available in what was it called? Doorkeep, I believe is the name of the
Yes.
town that you just came from.
Right.
So we can say that you picked one up there.
Okay.
Effectively, it is a match that has been the head of which has been coated in beeswax, so that it burns longer and slower.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of quickly drop everything and try to ignite this torch.
Okay. So let's see. Let me get it's a cool little GM screen that has a bunch of information. So we have to combine two different stats. First of which is called I'm failing in remembering what it's called. It's the one that has the 4 suits associated with it. One of them is war, one of them is etiquette.
Yeah, one is war, one is society, one is academia,
Okay.
and one is street.
Perfect. Okay. So I think let's go with war on that one. This is kind of being done as an offensive. And then there's a secondary trait. I suppose I should have brought the rules up. I mean, like I'm running a game or something. War and
Hills and fields.
skills and fields. Thank you. So war would be the field. The skill, I think maybe maybe authority. Trying to establish authority over this creature, trying to increase your presence. So go ahead and gather up a number of d6s equal to what you have in both of those.
Okay.
And then you're looking for pairs
that's right.
or triples.
Okay. I have 2 5s, a 3 and a
Okay.
2.
Okay, excellent. So you have a pair, which
Right.
is good. I mean, obviously, igniting a torch is not overly difficult, specifically designed for doing so. So that's a
Right.
basic success. And you manage to, duck down, pull this off of your pack or something, and strike, flint and flint and steel type device onto this, and it crackles into flames, and very quickly is kind of going merrily. What are the rest of you doing in the meantime?
I have grabbed my doctor's bag, and I'm sort of clutching it close and trying to hide behind whoever or whatever I can. Oh my. And I am especially going to be watching for anybody who is putting themselves in danger, most notably Felinia right now. Looking to make sure nobody gets hurt, or rather, not being able to prevent them from getting hurt, being prepared to potentially help them if and when they get hurt.
All right, so you're just kind of
Ronan,
hanging back for the second. Go ahead.
Ronan is going to ready this key skit, drop to one knee, and aim towards this thing. And I would like to use my one of my moves called Sharp Eye. It says find important clues thanks to your sharp eyes, or learn the opponent's weak spot.
Okay. So which of the... Go ahead.
I was gonna say page 280 if you need to know what that is, because I was looking that up.
Thank you. Okay, weak spot. Okay. Interesting. Oh, this is kind of cool. It literally gives me a chart to determine at random what this creature's weak spot might be. Huh, okay. So you can tell that this spider is agitated. There's something else that's kind of bothering this creature other than just pure feeding. So you can attack with a will +1.
All right. Can I do that now, or do I need to wait until?
I guess it's probably part of the same action. It's not as minute as something like D&D is, so.
Gotcha. So will +1. And then I'm assuming I need to use war for that as well.
What is will?
It's under war.
Under war. Okay, so they don't have to stay tied to one another, but since you are directly making an attack, I think war is still probably the best best field to go with.
I got one pair.
Okay, so that is a basic success. However, this creature is a critical level of difficulty. So how do you use the agitation of this spider to kind of like attack it, and how does it not quite do any damage?
I think that I think that Ronan is actually more trying to figure out what this agitation might be. You know, is there something else after this spider, and we just happen to be in its way as it's trying to get away? Is there an injury? And he is not quite focusing in enough to actually make the shot he's trying to make. So when he takes it, it's more of like an attempt to distract, or like a warning shot, but to no effect. He's more worried about what's agitating this thing and what's causing this.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of get the sensation that there's a specific direction. Like you're headed in the direction of the village of Pinewood itself. That's kind of deeper into the Yule Forest. And the spider seems, every time it gets near that direction, it seems to kind of start to divide its attention. Like it's very concerned with something off in that direction, not just you. The other three of you, what are you doing?
I am a lover, not a fighter, and I am going to fly up as high as I can to get away from this creature that is coming after us.
Okay. So, how far are you planning on going?
As far as I can. I want to get out of its way. I
Okay.
want to get up above it as high as I can. I don't want it to, I want to get out of its reach.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little slow going here because there is so much growth, but you're kind of making your way up currently. Okay. The good doctor or the other Sister Victoria?
I think Rosalind will pull out her needle, and it's a very slow action because this is really weird. Like, she knows that, the spiders will come for them, but, you know, usually they just instantly make an attack kind of thing. And so it's a very slow approach as she's moving to Felinia to kind of be there to protect her.
Okay. So it sounds like three of you are kind of pulling back a little bit, where Felinia is getting this torch lit, and Ronan has kind of moved off to the side, taken a shot, trying to assess the situation, and Cassiani is taking flight, trying to get away from this thing. Okay. So this thing, I roll to see what it's going to do. She thrashes about, causing a collapse. You must find cover. Interesting. Okay. So, all of you are going to need to make a roll using investigation. It's interesting. I guess trying to seek literally something that you can hide underneath. Or in Cassiani's case, something that maybe you can, grab a hold of so that you're not getting slammed about by all of these branches and things that are suddenly shaking everywhere. Oh, let's see. Investigation, normally under academia. I think this is still under war though. So you can use whatever however many points you have in investigation mixed with however many points you have in war. And then let's get that rolled up. Find out. We got 0 pairs. Okay.
I got 2 basic successes.
So 2 pairs.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay.
One basic success.
Okay. Excellent.
None of my numbers match.
Okay. And Ronan.
I'm currently looking up how rerolls work because none of mine match either.
Rolls.
You have to already have a success.
I think I don't know. I know that one of the rules is that you have to have a success to try to trade it to roll it again to see if you can get higher successes. But I don't know if there's a mechanic for straight rerolls. 89. It says, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you have to have a success.
Yeah,
a
you have to
trait
have
that
at least
allows you-
one basic success you can choose to reroll. So, Sarah's, do either one of you want to gamble your basic success for trying to get a higher critical success? You want to write it out?
Not me.
Okay.
I do love a gamble.
You'll still have one if you want.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay. So you're going to take all the dice that weren't part of a success and roll them again. Well, that works. Okay, that aren't a part of the success that you're keeping.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Okay. One success, and then 3 bouts of no successes. Okay. So those of you who got no successes are going to take 2 stress. Those of you who got a basic success are going to take 1 stress. As she is a critical enemy, it takes at least a critical success to avoid her. So she starts thrashing around, raising those tree trunk legs and stomping as you light the torch, Felinia. And her mandibles kind of fly open, and there's this kind of noise as it shakes all of the literal trees and branches and things all around you, further causing ornaments and pine cones and loose branches to break free and kind of rain down all around you. Those of you who managed to kind of duck inside one of these one of the ornaments that was broken and was a part of this maze that you just kind of left, you were able to kind of shelter a little from some of this stuff collapsing on top of you. But there were a few of you that were caught outside, not able to get into cover in time. And you kind of suffered a few superficial scrapes and bruises. Okay. We are back to the part of the round where all of you get to take action. What would you like to do?
Well, mine's easy. I will continue to, after getting knocked about by these falling branches, I'm going to continue to fly up, trying to clear it, trying to clear the creature. If I do finally get high enough, I'd like to look down and assess the situation. But I will keep flying.
Yeah, you definitely can get high enough to get a better perspective on the situation. It takes quite a bit because this thing is probably the height of 5-6 of you, so it takes a little while to get above where you feel like you might be out of this thing's reach. But you can go ahead and make an assessment. So I think probably an investigation roll again. It's kind of what it sounds like.
With war, or would this be with academia this time? Because we're...
Let's do this as academia, because this is more like a studying a situation with a lot of objectivity.
Oh, I got a triple.
Okay. So that is a critical success. Excellent. So what are you trying to discern by gaining elevation and looking over this battlefield?
I get basically, is there anything how to describe it? Any routes out, or is there something about the creature that I can see that would aid us in potentially
Yeah.
saving the people that down below, that kind of thing?
Okay. So it's because of your vantage point that you have now reached that you too are you find yourself kind of looking in the direction of Pinewood, where Ronan told you that you were headed. Um, and you can see through the thinner branches and stuff of the Yule Forest from up here that you can see like the rooftops of buildings and things of that nature. And from here, you can tell that something's kind of weird about it. Now, obviously, I don't have a picture for your particular perspective, but you can tell from the tops of the roofs that you can see that it is covered in spider webs. Like more spider webs than buildings or branches that you can see. Um, and the the critical result that you got from your roll, I'm going to say, is because with academia, you know that this spider that is below you does not weave webs. It is a hunting spider. Okay. Anybody else?
So Ronan has no idea of this. He has a different idea in his head of what's going on. But he is going to yell to everyone around um, to make for Pinewood, but he's going to point like into the woods a little bit, like a different direction, and just kind of scream, "Don't go that way." He's going to point like towards Pinewood, say, "Make for Pinewood," but not that way, and point a different direction and say through the woods. And as he's doing that, he goes back to reloading this keyskit, um, and hoping that everyone or some may make for safety. He's gonna start as he's reloading this keyskit, yelling at this spider, trying to grab its attention, so that maybe the others can get away to safety.
Okay, so let's see how successfully you are able to draw this eight-legged freak. I think maybe street and authority.
Works for me.
That seems to make sense to me.
No successes.
Okay. So you kind of give this proclamation, and then you start kind of making your way off into the woods, reloading, um, shouting and leaping and waving your hands around, trying to get the attention of this spider. You're not sure that it's working.
And Ronan will just continue and redouble his efforts, and he's going to go in the opposite direction of where he pointed for the others to try to make for Pinewood and make for safety.
Okay. So that is Cassiani and Ronan. Anyone else?
I think on hearing Ronan yelling about running but not going a certain way, I think Rosalind would, kind of tug Philomena to or Philenia to come with her. Like not dragging her away, but kind of like tugging her, like, okay, come on, let's go.
Yeah, I'm also trying to use the torch to illuminate the area and maybe look around. I want to see what this spider is so concerned about. He seems agitated.
Okay. So it sounds like probably a similar role to the one that we just got from Cassiani. So I think we're going to call for academia and investigation.
Okay, I got a triple.
Okay,
I got
critical.
3-5.
Excellent. Okay. So you kind of use this momentary distraction and the fact that it does not seem to be very keen on the flame from your torch. You can see, the flame kind of reflected 8 separate times in these very, very shiny black eyes that she has. She kind of recoils and kind of dances around the other side of this small little clearing that's been made. And you're on the other side of it now. And as you kind of have moved a little towards where you've been shown Pinewood to be, you kind of raise your torch and you can see a lot of what I was describing to Cassiani. You see ahead of you that there's a lot of thick spider webs ahead, not that far into the woods. And again, same kind of information. Especially as a vet, you know that this is not a kind of spider that uses cobwebs to hunt. They don't have the glands to produce silk. So you know that is not the work of this particular spider. And spiders are incredibly territorial.
I'm gonna call out to the people around me and just let them know we need to move quickly and get out of this area.
Okay. It sounds like, for the most part, everybody's plan is to just try to get away from this thing. Jake, was there anything different that the doctor was doing?
No, I think I had something I was going to do that was probably dumb.
Who knows?
Well, I think I'm going to do it anyway. Because I don't like the idea that though I think Ronan is perfectly capable, I don't like the idea that he's trying to take this thing on by himself, and he's not having any luck trying to get it to listen. I would like to kind of look at where Felinia is trying to lead others towards Pinewood, and I'm gonna kind of do that, like looking this way, and then I'm gonna grab my bag and head towards Ronan, and I'm going to call on my out of the spark connection to make my hands and face start to glow basically they glow like torchlight, except it's just cold light. and I want to further try repeating what Ronan was saying, trying to put more authority behind it. I'm extremely skilled in authority, and I'm trying to put more authority behind directing this spider away from everybody.
Okay.
As I probably surprised Ronan coming up behind him rather than running away, running to and just what he said. Go this way. Get out of here.
So you're running from the T-Rex with a flare, and then all of a sudden, Dr. Ian Malcolm takes off in the other direction.
Pretty much.
No, here. Okay. Also going to be authority. I think this is going to be street and authority, though.
Okay, and that is going to give me 1 in street, 4 in authority.
All right.
So I'll be rolling 5 dice.
5 dice.
What's that? Okay, I did get a critical. I got a triple.
Excellent.
I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to do this. And you can only do it once per session. And since this is our... I just want to make sure I'm reading this right.
Mm-hmm.
It says, as part of the out of the spark, additionally, salamanders can occasionally rely on a striking epiphany, which grants them an instinctive knowledge of things about to happen. As such, once per session, salamanders can call upon their enlightenment to repeat 1 action roll of any kind with an additional +1. Is this kind of like you re-roll and you take the new result, so I could undo this critical, but have a chance at a much better success?
I don't think so. I don't think that this is a gamble, because in other places where that is the case, it kind of specifically states it that way, and it didn't seem to be a part of the description of what you just read.
Yeah, it just says you can repeat 1 action roll of any kind with an additional +1.
There are some traits that give you a free reroll. That may be what that's doing.
Okay.
That doesn't sound like it, because my trait that has a free reroll literally says free reroll. That sounds like he's getting an
specifically
additional.
the contract that each of the
Right.
heredities have.
Yeah.
So I guess it's up to how you want to rule that, Jeremy.
Yeah, I don't think that you would have to gamble on losing the critical that you have.
I can re-roll it with 6 with the chance of getting better, but if I don't,
Correct.
I still get the critical. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I'm going to do that. My once per session. Drop 6 dice. It's still a critical. I was just hoping for that check.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember what the 4 thing is called, what type of success that's called, but
extreme is if you have
extreme
4 of a kind.
It is. Okay, so a critical success is definitely gonna do it. So, all right. So you are going to cause her to stress as she's kind of dividing her attention between those who are running towards Pinewood and where you and the guide are kind of moving off in this other direction. And seems to agitate her further before she finally makes a decision and starts to pursue you and Ronan. So she's going to take 2 stress. And that means that she does one of her moves.
As she's finally paying attention,
Mm-hmm.
my first reaction is to go to see that the others are no longer in danger. Look at Ronan and go, "Oh, good, that worked." And then seeing that she's turning her attention completely to us, turn to Ronan and go, "I don't think I thought this through all the way."
Wait, she's coming this way. Oh no, she's coming this way.
Oh no, she's coming this way.
I think that Ronan like audibly laughs at this, at your reaction to this, and for a second, the strain and stress of everything that's happening and about to happen kind of melts away, and then he gets pulled back into the situation as well, and maybe has much the same look you do at the moment.
Perfect. Okay, so this triggers her first move. The way that enemies and foes work in this game is they have like a row of stress boxes, just like you. And then every so often they have an explosion on one of their boxes. And when they hit one of those, it triggers an off-turn move that they do. So this first move that she does is a slam. So she's going to use her huge body to ram into the characters. So both of you need to try to pass a critical reaction roll in athletics plus war.
I find they just need a light slam every now and then. Reminds me of Mrs. Doubtfire.
I don't remember that line from Mrs. Doubtfire. I remember a lot of the lines from Mrs.
What?
Doubtfire, but not that one.
Robin Williams, when he's doing all the different voices of the... Sorry. Off topic.
Oh, yes, I am Job. Yeah. Got it.
I only get to roll 2 dice in that.
Oh no.
One for war, one for athletics. But I did get a basic success. I rolled 2 3s.
Okay.
Is it 3 matches to get a critical? And that's
Yeah.
what we need?
Yep.
Oh, good. I get to roll 3 dice. I got a basic success.
Okay. All right. So characters who fail gain. Oh, you become hurt. There's a hurt condition. So it worked. She is hunting you down. And she slams into both of you, kind of lowering her head. She slams into the doctor's back, which causes him to fly forward into Ronan. And the two of you kind of go sprawling forward, face down into the forest ahead of you. As you can feel like the back side, or I guess the front side of one of her fangs kind of brush up against your spine. Small little bit of venom kind of drips on your shoulder, rolls off of you, which again, for you, a small drop is, this big. Okay, hurt. I hurt myself today. Johnny Cash is a spider.
-1 to all rolls in the war field.
Ooh. Damn. Okay. So yeah, you both kind of get thrown bodily to the ground, kind of ending up in a heap, all tangled together, rolling a few times over the floor here. It's kind of formed of broken detritus of the tree and the tangled up remnants of the carpet that once existed here. You kind of knock your heads around a bit. You're a little banged up, but you're okay, at least for now. Okay.
One of us is a physician.
Right. Okay. That was the doctor's turn. Was there anybody else who had not gone this round yet? No? Okay. All right. So the other three of you have kind of either gone up or closer towards Pinewood, kind of starting to make your way roughly in that direction. Ronan and Dr. Mercer have kind of headed off in the opposite direction. So we're back to your turns, the players. What do you want to do now?
I want to try to yell at the people running towards Pinewood that running towards Pinewood is not the way they should be going.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you have no problems whatsoever. Kind of shouting down to them for you to be able to, uh, for them to be able to hear you. But there is quite a bit of commotion that this spider is causing with the doctor and Ronan. You might maybe even hear them kind of screaming. Um,
I do want to make sure that they, when I'm saying don't head towards Pinewood, but that's because it's covered in webs. I want to make sure they know that.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to kind of
Or
fly
try to.
down a little bit to make sure that they can hear you, but not too bad. Besides, I mean, the spider's busy. It's fine. Okay. Was there anyone else who had not gone?
Is this a whole new round of turns?
You shot your first round and then you tried to distract your second round. I think Ronan went. Because technically the spider has not gone yet.
Okay, I didn't know if we looped back around. I'm sorry.
No, that actually happened in response to taking damage. Damage, quote unquote. Being dealt stress.
So
That's what it's
the
called.
spider hitting us was a reaction?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like I said, on their stress track, there's certain bubbles that get filled in that causes them to do a move, and that was one of her moves. Okay. If everybody has gone this round, then the spider's gonna go. All right. So now that Ronan and the good doctor are kind of in a heap on the ground, she is going to move up to them and a 3. She attacks you with her front legs. So you need to test a fight roll. Fight and I'm going to say war. That sucks. That is the -1 that you both currently have. But it makes sense here.
Nothing.
No successes. Okay.
No success.
No successes. Okay. So you are both going to take 2 additional stress. How are y'all doing on stress track? 4 out of
Total.
Yep.
Oh, there's quite a bit. Okay.
There's something that happens at 8, I think, because it's shaped weird.
Yeah. That's the burst that I'm talking about, but I don't know what it means on a character sheet. That's interesting. Surely it means you get something triggers for you. Hopefully in your favor, since all the monsters get something in their favor.
Yeah, I did.
That's
see
when
something about
we
that.
trigger into our final form.
You go Super Saiyan. Okay. So both of you are on the ground where she kind of slammed you. She has reared back and is using her front 2 legs to basically like slam down on you, using kind of the blunt, spiny hair covered appendages to kind of just ram you into the ground over and over again. You can feel, possibly like some bruised ribs, definitely kind of knocking the wind out of you, things of that nature. So you are not in a good situation at all. That is the spider's turn. It is now back to you. What do y'all want to do?
I can hear Cassiani yelling something. I'm going to try to discern what it is that she's yelling at us.
I don't think it's any problem to hear her at all, especially with the fact that she's basically shouting down the same information that you're also kind of discovering with your torch. So I think like you're starting to rapidly put 2 and 2 together. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to abruptly stop running towards the mass of spider webs, turn around and relay that information to Rosalind, and tell her we need to find a different exit strategy. So
Right. I completely forgot about the 2 NPCs that y'all have with you. You also have Mr. Brummell and Tatiana that are with you, and I'm gonna say they're probably with Rosalind and Felinia. Oh, thank you, Karen. It's the crucial box. When it's filled, you immediately suffer a condition appropriate to the circumstances, as determined
Yeah.
by the narrator. Oh,
And there's like 8
Wow.
listed below it on the character sheet. So, and then
Options.
there's also blank ones where you can pick your own.
oh, you're especially cruel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's always nice to have options. Maybe I'll have to look at that and see what the options are. Okay. So Felinia is trying to find a different solution, a better path, a better exit from here. I think that this would probably be investigation still, because you're literally searching for something. I think maybe this would be street, because you're literally trying to like rely on your instincts, your gut, to try to determine a place to go. So let's do street and investigation together. That feels sexy. Let's do it.
Can I offer to help her look for a different way?
Yes, absolutely. Combined rolls.
and
What do they-
I did just have 2 basic successes, a pair of 5s and a pair of 1s.
Excellent.
Very nice. And what
Okay.
was it we're rolling?
Street and investigation.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the way that help works. When you can rely on the help of someone or something, you gain one of these benefits. You gain a +1 to an action or reaction roll, so you would roll an additional die. Or you gain a success without needing to roll a die. It would be just a basic success. Or in this case, you could upgrade one of your basic successes to a critical success. Or you can gain the requisites to make an action roll that you wouldn't normally be able to make. Either one of those or any of those sound good to either of you? +1 extra die, or do you want to just bump one of your basic successes to a critical success?
I'll bump one of the basics to a critical.
Okay. So you have a critical and a basic success. A critical success, I believe, we're just going to roll with it being 3 additional stress. It's going to take her from a 2 to a 5. The basic success, I think you can gift that to someone else if you want. Or theoretically, I think you can actually cash it in to increase your success as well, increasing a different success. So you could increase that from a critical success to an extreme. Just turn it into one big old hit. If you wanted to.
But I'm not attacking in any way.
Right. And it's kind of an abstraction. So it's not necessarily that you're doing damage, quote unquote, but it's dealing stress to the spider. So at some point, it might just get to the point where it's so frustrated dividing its attentions or, what have you, that it could just give up and run away.
Okay.
It still kind of goes towards defeating the creature.
Okay. I guess I just want to avoid stay as far away from the spider as possible and
Okay.
head in a different direction away from Pinewood.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll say that the basic success that you got would be needed to basically identify another path away from here that does not go towards Pinewood and does not go closer to this spider. So you find a path and you're able to kind of shout that out to everybody and start heading your way down in that direction. And in doing so, that causes further stress to the Pinewood spider with your critical success. So that's going to take her from 2 to 5. A 5 is her second trigger for her move. So she is going to... She did slam, so now she's doing pile on. She focuses on the weakest prey in sight. The character with the highest stress immediately suffers 1 additional stress. If they become overstressed or they must bow out, she repeats this move. Good grief. Okay. You're both injured the same, right? You both have the same amount of stress?
I believe so.
Ronan
yeah.
and the doctor. Think
I've
so.
got 4.
Okay. All right, we're gonna do evens, Ronan, odds, doctor. 4, Ronan. So you suffer an additional stress. You know, she's pummeled both of you with the ends of her legs. And now she has lowered her face down towards you, and has sunk both fangs into the ground. Unfortunately for her, you were between the fangs, so you weren't hit by the bite itself, but you literally have these 2 table leg sized spider fangs embedded in the ground on either side of you, and like where you're grabbing a hold of them to try to like keep them off of you, you can feel the venom like coursing through these fangs.
Yeah, all you can hear from Ronan right now is the probably absence of breathing and just the telltale scrape of feet as he's trying to hold these fangs away from him, but he's also trying to kick his way out from under this.
Okay. Who has not gone yet that would like to? What you gonna do?
Would like to grab at Ronan, like wrap my arms under his arms, kind of pulling him out from between these fangs, and unless that takes a special action to do, I want to actually try to use my physician action to try to cure him of his wounds. And I want to flavor it that as I'm pulling him out, that I'm kind of helping him to scrabble away from this, going, oh yeah, this is not at all how I thought this was going to go. Yeah, take this. And as I say take this, I'm gonna inject him with adrenaline. I have to make a care plus academia roll to attempt to cure the hurt. I don't remember what it has to be a critical success or
It's probably a basic. I think most of the checks in this game are basic, which makes sense.
This is critical. To remove this condition,
Oh,
make a critical
wow.
roll in care plus academia.
Okay.
Okay. I have a 2 in academia and a 3 in care.
And your hurt won't apply because it only applies to war.
Correct.
Okay.
Five, 1, 2, 2, 2. I believe that is a critical success.
3 2s is definitely a critical success. All right. So as this adrenaline enters your system, Ronan, you can remove the hurt condition.
And as I see the adrenaline taking effect, you just hear me go, "Oh, good. It worked. I mean, of course it worked."
I think at that point, Ronan just feeling that course through his body, Ronan yells and like at the same time happens to find his hand on his keyskit as he's being pulled out from under the spider. And as Doctor's pulling him out, he's just going to brace it on his shoulder facing straight up and just launch a shot.
All right. This is gonna be a war roll. Probably a fight.
Can I use shoot?
Oh, shoot. That would be the one that that handles that.
All right. So that's gonna give me 5 dice.
Oh, all right.
Yahtzee.
All right. So that is basic success, but I'm also going to cash in my sharpshooter trait. I gain a free reroll for all rolls made with a ranged weapon or firearm.
Nice.
So I'm
Okay.
gonna reroll that. That does allow me to keep that success if I don't get anything better. Yeah, just a basic success.
Okay. So that is 2 damage, I believe. Which puts her at 7. Which triggers her third move, which is another slam. So she's using her huge body to ram into the characters. Those who don't pass a critical reaction roll in athletics plus war. All right, so you fire your gun. It destroys one of her eyes. And she rears back in pain and kind of, and then she slams her body down on top of you. So you need to roll an athletics plus war, please.
Is it just Ronan or both of us?
Ooh, good question. You are right there with him,
'Cause
so
I'm
I think it's both
I
of you.
literally just injected him.
Yeah, I think it's both of you. Good call.
I cannot succeed.
Oh
Because
no.
I'm hurt. I only have a 1 in war and a 1 in athletics. I can only roll 1 die.
Okay.
It's a 6.
Okay. Let's find out what Nathan gets for Ronan here.
I got a basic, but I'm gonna go ahead and gamble that and try to re-roll.
Okay.
All right, it's still a basic.
Basic. Okay.
You
All
do
right.
have the option of going all in, but if you fail
Oh,
on
yeah.
this one, it's real bad. But you do have
So
that
I can
option.
roll a third time.
Yeah, it's called all
what it
in.
is?
It's right below that. It's
I
you're
remember
basically
there-
putting everything on the line.
I remember there being a trade-off, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, it makes the failure terrible consequences or something like that.
Oh, do they
Okay,
suffer terrible, terrible things?
Terrible, terrible things. That's what it's called.
Well, in the interest of this may possibly be the final session if we can't derail anything, and the dire straits we're in, I think I'm going to go all in.
Okay. Means you can roll all the dice that weren't part of a success. If you manage to get a better or an extra success, that becomes your new result. However, if you do not get any better or extra successes, then you lose all successes and have to face a terrible failure.
Okay, I'll re-roll my one die.
No.
And it doesn't match.
Oh. Okay. Failure 91 and 94. Oh my gosh, what? 91. 4. Failure. Accidents. Price to pay, danger, suffering, stress. Oh, look. It's the picture I used with the giant spider in it. um. hmm. I don't see where it says terrible failures. These are just regular failures. Let's see. Terrible failure. Ronan, you die. No, I'm kidding. That would be awful. um, so you're both going to take 2 stress. At the very least. Ronan. Okay. Your keyskit is bent. It is unable to fire until you can get it repaired. I think that's going to be I have no idea if that's the way that it's supposed to work in the system, but that sounds like a terrible failure.
Sounds like a terrible failure to me.
Okay. All right, so she slams her body down. Both of you just have the wind completely knocked out of you as you're kind of crushed against the ground. Both of you are pretty sure that you heard a snap. You're not really sure which one of you it was, or if it was the keyskit. And when she lifts herself back up, you can also see, Ronan, that your keyskit has been damaged. Okay. She is at 7 stress currently. That was in response to still y'all's turn. Is there anybody else who has not gone yet this turn that wants to
Have
take action?
not yet gone.
Okay.
I don't know what I can do from up here. I guess looking around, seeing how, I guess, how badly poor Dr. Meredith and Ronan are faring. I would like to assess to see if there is potentially anything that I can do to either help them out or to distract the spider's attention so that they can get away at least.
Okay. All right. So distraction in would, I think, be street and authority. I think that's what we did. Oh, authority. Yeah.
Well, long shot.
Okay.
Three dice. I did get a basic success. So.
Okay. So basic success is going to deal a further 2 stress to her, bring her to 9. That is her final move. Good grief. Okay, so she is maxed out on stress, but it is her final box that has an explosion around it. So, which she does pile on again. Good grief. So, she focuses on the weakest prey in sight. Ronan, I think you are. No, you're both hurt the same.
No, I healed Ronan, so he's
Oh,
no
you
longer hurt.
did.
I have 6 stress and I'm hurt.
That's
Makes
right.
me the weakest.
And when the slam happened, if you were already hurt, you actually became tired. Whatever
Oh, I missed that.
that means.
I have 7 stress.
God,
Tired
Okay.
has no consequences.
tired has no consequences.
I mean, I am trying to
Interesting.
distract her, though. I
Okay.
want to throw that in there. I can like buzz in her face and look like a poor little
Yes.
sweet little.
Yes. So, I think. Okay, so she's gonna be defeated, and by distraction, that means she's gonna be turning to flee. But I think as she turns to go, she's going to just pile it on. Okay, so what are your stresses at again, Jake?
6 plus hurt
6, and you're tired,
and hurt.
and
Yeah.
Ronan is no longer hurt, but is at 7 stresses.
Yes.
Okay. I think he's going to go for you, Dr. Meredith. The fact that you're kind of, running out of gas, it very much kind of looks like you are the easier prey. So she grabs you in her mandibles and picks you up into the air, the equivalent of 20, 30 feet into the air as she turns and starts to chase after Cassiani. And after just a few feet, she becomes fixated on whatever Cassiani is doing and drops you. You fall, to the floor of the forest below. And Cassiani, you're able to fly some distance off as this spider kind of scampers after you, crashing through the tree and the woods all around you, removing you from the immediate danger. Soon enough, Cassiani, if you'd like, you can circle back without any threat of the spider returning. In the aftermath of that, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Your entire group.
Or
Did
um,
I
Yeah,
suffer
anybody.
any stress or injuries from that being dropped and mandibled and whatnot?
Well, on. Yeah, 1 additional stress.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, once this clearing kind of returns to quiet, what are you doing?
Ronan's gonna run to Doc and check on Doc.
There's no response from him. No, I think he's pretty worse for wear, a little banged up, but he's conscious and alive. So, there is, that. I imagine there's probably a look on his face that mirrors your own feelings of, holy fuck, we survived.
I think I would just Ronan would just probably pick Doc up and try to take stock of maybe where everyone else is, and just try to get everyone back together and find out what happened, maybe why everyone didn't go towards Pinewood. Because I don't think Ronan ever actually found out. I think he heard someone yelling about spider webs and things, but I don't think because of everything that was happening, he ever got a clear picture of what was going on.
Yeah, out in the aftermath, I'd be coming back down and looking, trying to see how everybody is, checking on, I forgot his name, but Mr. Groom person.
Mr. Brummell.
Mr. Brummell, thank you. Checking on him, making sure he's okay, and the doc and Ronan, and then letting Ronan know what I saw from above about Pinewood and the state it's in.
Mr. Brummell, who seems to be pretty well shaken, despite not having lived through quite the same ordeal that Ronan and the doctor did. Hearing this from both you and Felinia, Mr. Brummell says, perhaps maybe we bypass Pinewood. I know that it's rough traveling across the forest, but maybe we should make more directly towards Bookshire.
I think that's definitely the way we need to go. We need to avoid Pinewood completely.
All those poor littlings. I hope they managed to get out before the... It kind of shudders. Spiders moved in. Okay. Anybody else?
Ronan's just nodding at what everyone's saying about avoiding Pinewood. It seems that his key skid is broken, which has also broken his voice at the moment.
Tatiana has kind of come over to you, Ronan, and she kind of places a hand on your shoulder and kind of gives you a painful look. I'm sorry. I know that it seems as though someone in your position relies quite a lot on their weapon. I know how I would feel if my instrument were... Well, again, I'm sorry.
I think Ronan just he looks at her, and he almost tries to smile. He just can't. You can see kind of the corners of his mouth start to quiver, like a thank you smile. But it never actually happens. And he takes another look at the key skit, and he's running through in his mind of if he can fix it, because they may need it for the remainder of this journey. But I think that he sees that he can't fix this, and that this key skit that has been in his family for a long time is ruined and is going to be dead weight. And he finds a piece of this Yule tree that's left, a branch, or just any part of this Yule tree that he can kind of lean it against. And there's this blade, almost like a bayonet, on the end of it. And he places that against the Yule tree, and he just begins to stomp on the key skit, trying to break that piece of the blade off.
I think too, kind of in the immediate aftermath of what's going on, as you're kind of taking time to do this, one of you, just a volunteer, anybody? Nobody?
Me.
Karen?
I'll
Okay.
volunteer.
Okay. Um, Karen, maybe it's like when you're returning from having kind of led the spider away, you kind of are, descending back down, and you actually find a um a Christmas ornament hook that's kind of been lost and forgotten about, kind of up in the boughs a little bit. Its ornament long since broke away and broke free, but in the hands of a littling, this forms a pretty decent weapon. Kind of a, two-handed scythe or sickle type action. Um, so
I think I would
there's that.
see him, Ronan, attacking his own weapon at this point. And she'd kind of cautiously approach and wait for a good time when he's either taking a rest or he's actually finished doing whatever it is he's doing. And then she would just like, Ronan?
Yes, Cassiani.
I know it's not much. It's not a family heirloom, and it's not nearly as fancy as. Um, well, here it is, and she would just she's trying to hide it behind her back with her wings kind of a little bit, but then she will pull out this two-handed contraption. Maybe you could use this.
I think he takes it from you and he looks it over. It checks the weight of it and sharpness and how useful it would be to us. And he is running through in his mind what different weapons you all have and what ways you may be to able to defend yourselves. Because he hopefully either has a piece that has this kind of bayonet style thing off of the keyskit, possibly, but he also has a cutlery piece of a knife, like strapped to his belt. It's just a small, basically a hunting knife, to us. But if no one else needs it, then he would take it. But he's gonna just kind of take stock of what we have weapon wise to protect ourselves. I have a couple of blades, but we need to make sure that we have enough protection for all of us.
You are our protection, and that is enough for me.
It seems as though you protected me and the good doctor here.
I did a really poor job of it. And she kind of looks at you and your injuries and the doc, who's maybe gaining consciousness at this moment. Uh,
Between you and the good doctor, I think everyone else came away uninjured.
will going cross country be more perilous than what we've already faced, or will that be the easier path, do you think?
Nathan, you would know that you are closing in on the boundary of the Yule tree, just past pine wood, the forest very quickly kind of dies out, and then there's just the stretch of the study between that side of the Yule tree and where you can make the ascent to Bookshire at the bookcase.
Do I know anything about any of the dangers or how dangerous that stretch would be?
After you get out of the Yule forest, the danger drops dramatically. It is nowhere near as dangerous once you kind of get out of the I mean, there might be bandits and things like that, but this close to Pinewood and Bookshire, it's not usually a problem.
I think that Ronan looks at Cassiani, and this is when some of that loss that he just experienced kind of washes away a little bit. And he smiles at Cassiani and he says, "This is the part of the journey where normally I would say I don't think things can get much worse. But I think I will reserve that statement for another journey. But most of our dangers should lessen once we're out of the Yule Forest. And we're near the end."
You're muted, Karen. Sorry.
Of course I am, because we wouldn't be playing an online game if one of us didn't mute ourselves. We're talking. I don't even know what I was saying. Yeah, what was I saying? She nods to Ronan. That is good to hear, and I will leave you. And she just kind of makes a vague gesture at whatever it was he was doing to his weapon, and then turns to go.
I think Mr. Brummell has kind of approached Dr. Meredith. Good God, man. He kind of extends a hand down towards him to try to help him to his feet. It was the most harrowing thing I've ever seen. How are you? Alive? Are you okay?
That I owe my survival to the handiness of Mr. Ronan here. I did my best to assist, but it seems I am best suited for the examination rooms more so than the battlefield. Ow.
A littling 20 years your junior would have not fared as well. And he kind of brushes off your clothes, kind of getting some of the the leaves and the dirt and things off of you as best he can.
Well, it's a good thing that I'm a physician. I can heal thyself, as they say. I'll be fine as long as everyone else is okay. Ow.
Yes, I'm certainly going to be very, very happy to no longer be traveling through this forest, and I don't think I will ever come back.
Well, just think the stories you'll have to tell of what you've seen here. And be thankful that you have the luxury of leaving this place and not returning.
Indeed.
How?
Please, let me help you. And he kind of pulls your arm up and over his shoulders and tries to help support your weight a little bit, to help you walk on.
I will allow him to do that, but if you'll allow me a little embellishment here, since we are
Absolutely.
in the element of the Yule tree, and you've mentioned there's like broken ornaments and things like that. At some point, I would imagine coming across one of these broken ornaments that was probably It was probably partially transparent glass painted on one side, and it was sort of like a snow globe type thing, but an ornament with like a little scene in it. Um, and the glass is long since broken, and pieces of whatever the scene are strewn all over. But somewhere in the midst of that scene, I stop Mr. Brummell and have him help me to pick up a uh, miniature candy cane, which is probably just the right size to use as an actual cane. And where there's pieces of a toppled and broken snowman, I just reach down and grab his top hat and dust it off and put that on my head too. I still let Mr. Brummell help me along, but I now have a candy cane to assist.
Perfect. Okay. Unless there's something else that somebody wants to touch on, it sounds like the group decision is to indeed bypass what looks to be the infested town of Pinewood and head straight for Bookshire.
Yeah, I think Pinewood might be a sticky situation.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it might be a little bit of a lost cause. Looks like it might be the best thing to do is just to burn it.
It's been taken over by a web designer.
On that note, I think we're going to go ahead and take our
Sarah.
break.
That's not even a courtesy laugh. That was a genuine laugh. They can groan all they want.
Those are the best puns, the ones that make you laugh and also make you hate yourself for laughing. All right. Always intend your puns, yes. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and take our 10-minute break here as we're kind of transitioning from one scene to the next. So sit tight, take a bio break, refill your drinks, smoke them if you got them, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. We will be back in 10 minutes to finish up the second half of Act 4 of All the Little Things. And welcome back from break. We are here with the second half of Act 4 this evening of our household campaign, All the Little Things. We are rolling straight on to the finale. So, we rejoin the small group of you, this little band of travelers who have braved their way across the Yule forest, and are heading across what remains of the study, between the Yule forest and the bookcase on the far side of the living room. The distance that you'll have to cross between the tree and the bookshelf is nowhere near as vast as what you had to cross from Doorhold to the Yule Forest itself. And there is a patrol that makes its way around the perimeter of the room on a fairly regular basis. So you know that this leg of your journey is probably going to be a lot safer than the trek has been across the study thus far. So what I would like is for each of you, please, to describe something that we see you come across, a challenge or otherwise, or it could be people, between the exit of the Yule Forest and before you get to the base of the bookcase.
Can we see the picture again?
Absolutely.
How much
I think-
time is passing? Roughly.
Probably a couple of days.
Okay.
I think at one point, probably within that first day, that we leave the forest and we're starting to go across a more open ground, we come across this, like we see it in the distance first. It kind of glints when the light catches it, and it kind of like shimmers and glitters. And as we get closer and closer, it looks like this huge, almost like a rocky outcropping, this massive cropping just in the middle of the flatness of the ground. And it's not until we get much closer that we can see that the jagged bits, it has fallen and crumbled to the side, and the ground around it is peppered with this almost glass shards, these huge glass shards. And from our vantage, I think maybe at one point Cassiane will fly up, and this rocky outcropping is star shaped with a very big fluted bottom, just lying there, kind of broken and extremely sharp and dangerous kind of environment that we're walking around.
I imagine we're walking along this rug or carpet, and I imagine it's like a rug, and we're having to top these small rises because the rug's kind of bunched up a little bit. And as we're talking about, or as we're kind of topping these rises, um, off in the distance we see what looks like these small hills that almost look snow capped at the top, but there's also this greenery coming off of them. And as we get closer to them, they're also strung together. Um, and we're just seeing these, what to us actually, in the real world would be um, pieces of this popcorn strung together that fell off the tree.
It's pretty telling, you know, whatever happened to this to keep all of the insects and everything else from eating any of this. It's probably been through quite a process to preserve it.
So the space between like that large chair and then the actual Bookshire seems like it's quite a vacant, like a almost like a prairie or a plain. So I would imagine it's almost like windy, like it would be, even though we're indoors and we're not outside, but almost like there's a draft, and it might make it difficult to travel, you know, to keep our little cart from wobbling from side to side and containing all of our wares.
And there might even be, you know, a strong enough gust every once in a while to make the carpet itself actually change its topography. You know, the rug that's kind of sticking out, especially now that you're kind of getting near the edge of the corner of it. So it literally changes the landscape kind of under your feet.
I imagine kind of taking from Sarah the whole seeing the prairie and these, you know, this draft that's coming through. I imagine that as we're all trying to hold our stuff together, we maybe suddenly hear like these, to us, I imagine, just because of the way that the littlings are, it almost sounds um like kind of like a little stampede, and maybe we turn and we see a few wild mice running across that prairie heading like away from Bookshire. Maybe even some squeaks.
One of them stops and rears up against like the light of like the fading sky.
Ah!
I imagine this scene playing out as sort of a montage between our travels. We see, you know, what everybody else is describing, but we keep coming back to Dr. Meredith having the group in their travels having encountered somebody who's kind of set up alongside the roadway, who looks like an old naturalist hermit type that has like a little makeshift wagon filled with like herbs and mushrooms and things that I find very valuable because I can turn them into tinctures and salves and things like that. But this montage is, every time we cut to it, it's Dr. Meredith very animatedly arguing with this person, pointing at things, and he's pointing at how much he wants, and I'm arguing, and in the end, in the last scene, you see a slightly disgruntled Dr. Meredith with a basket full of a little bit of everything, and the vendor with his new velvet top hat that I had to reluctantly give up in payment or trade.
Absolutely. And it's like the nicest thing that this guy is now wearing. Like it looks at odds with like the rest of his attire.
It looks like Radagast the Brown wearing a very nice top hat.
Yeah. He's like a mice fur cloak and like perfect. Was that everybody? I think that was everybody. Cool. All right. I also think at some point that you come across a one particular place where there is a floorboard that had completely rotted and had collapsed and fallen in. Maybe at some time there was like a tumbler of liquid or something that the master had dropped, and it had soaked into this floorboard, and the constant addition of rain coming in through the broken window has caused this floorboard to collapse, and it's kind of created this ravine that you have to kind of stop and make your way around to cross. Though for us, it's a floorboard of 5-6 inches for you, it's impassable. There is no way to cross this. So you have to go around, and eventually you find your way, after a few more days of roughing it, at the base of the bookcase that's built into the wall of the study here. Looking up, you can see and hear the denizens of Bookshire going about their daily tasks. The city seems alive, especially with the vast danger and openness of what you've just gone through. The books of Bookshire have been rearranged through generation upon generation, so that now it forms the architecture of this city, leading from the ground up to the first level of Bookshire. Books have been arranged and twisted so that they form kind of a spiraling staircase that you can ascend all the way up to the bookcase from the floor here. So you begin the rather lengthy ascent up to Bookshire, and towards the end of the trek up, you reach dizzying heights for someone of your size. Yeah, right. There's a montage of you punching sides of mouse. I don't know. So you make your way up, and probably towards the top, there's been like nails and needles and things that have been driven into the covers of some of these books with like thread strung between them to form like a little bit of a handrail, like a safety rope. But as you ascend upwards and you reach Bookshire, you can see that all of the books have been arranged again, as with their spines facing out, but the littlings here have built directly into the books, hollowing them out to make their homes inside of them, sometimes combining 2-3 books together to form a larger domicile. There's a lot of open space as well in between, ladders and staircases made out of books that lead from one level of Bookshire to another. Everyone here is dressed very well. There seems to be quite a bit of affluence in Bookshire. These tall, spiral stacked books and homes around you. Some of them have ribbon bookmarks that kind of stick out of them that are used to climb or slide from one place to another. It is remarkably calm and quaint here. The style in Bookshire would be very, very old-fashioned. Old money is kind of the feel that you get from this particular city. Again, it's almost like the equivalent in our world of like a place that has mountain air. It's like a place for like the infirmed or the old to kind of go to get better, for all kinds of, ailments. There is a reclaimed section of the in-between that extends the real estate of the city of Bookshire. So the in-between is basically inside the house. Anything that is in the walls or in the floors, it's all kind of referred to collectively as the in-between. And it is wandering into the outback it is like the really, really, really dangerous place. It's often used for shortcuts by those who understand how to navigate through it, but it is very, very dangerous. However, the particular section of the in-between that is behind the bookshelf has been cleared out by the denizens of Bookshire, and it's kind of been made safe, and there's been like walls and blockades that have been put in place to kind of shut the rest of the in-betweens out. So, as you make your way into Bookshire, and you can see that as you're making your way past these row houses, some of them are stores as well, and they seem to be selling all manner of mushrooms and molds to be consumed, in addition to whatever tools and things like that that you might need. So, what are you doing upon first arriving here in Bookshire?
I'm going to want a proper bath and meal.
Both can certainly be found here.
Seconded on that motion. Absolutely.
I'm looking for the local barber / surgeon, the doctor's office.
Absolutely. Yep.
Ronan has been here before, right? We established that.
I don't remember if we did or not, but I'm fine with that being the case. I'll leave it up to you.
I think Ronan's been here maybe like once or twice. And probably not surprising to everyone. When he hears the mention of food, he's like, I have the perfect place. And we can hear the tales here. This town has lots of stories to tell.
Mr. Brummell says, well, I'm not particularly keen on delaying any further. I do think perhaps a bath would be a good decision before I see my bride. To answer your question, Karen, yes, this is supposed to be the destination for the wedding.
Cassiani looks to Mr. Brummell and I'm glad you mentioned that. I was going to suggest such a thing, but it did not quite seem so proper to do so. But it would do well to clean off the wear and tear of the road trip that we were just on.
Yes, I quite agree. I think I would definitely like a hot meal and a stiff drink as well.
You just see Rosalind kind of like wag her finger, like, I like how you think.
Okay, so it sounds like perhaps an inn is definitely in your near future. Ronan, was an inn kind of what you had in mind, or was it something more along the lines of like a public house?
I imagine if everyone's wanting to bathe as well, an inn would probably be where he would take everybody.
Okay. I think there is a place called the Wash Basin. It's not far off of like the top of the staircase that you come across, and it's very much it caters to travelers coming in from the road. It is, very, very much about comfort the things that you are not able to easily access when kind of out on the road. So baths, comfortable beds, hot meals, stiff drinks. It definitely would see to all of those needs. Okay.
Yeah, Ronan likes this place because it's not quite as not seedy is not the word I'm looking for, but it's not quite like a hole in the wall place necessarily, but it has a hole in the wall place kind of name, and that's why Ronan likes it.
Yeah, it kind of flies under the radar. It's like one of those like a shady restaurant that you go to that serves Mexican food where you're like, I don't know, and then it turns out to be like the bomb. Maybe that's just a Texas thing. I don't know.
It's a shame they don't have pea soup here, but
Okay.
they'll get by.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to do other than taking a little bit of time for yourselves, recuperating, making yourselves presentable, before you head to see? Oh! There are wedding preparations that are being done already. You can see that there's quite a bit of a buzz that is already kind of spreading through the town of Bookshire, even all the way here on the first shelf. The Lady de Colletta's wedding seems to be quite the talk of the town. And again, just for all of our sakes, this is very like Regency era, Bridgerton, Jane Eyre, Jane Austen. That's the one. Very much kind of that style of decor and culture. So is there anything else that you want to do before you kind of head to go see the bride to be? All right.
I would like actually to like once I've cleaned up and gotten presentable again, I'd like to maybe go and see some of the wedding preparations that are being done. I don't want to see Lady de Colletta at this point. I want to maybe overhear some of the things that the workers are saying and see if there's that underground tension and what was discontent that Tatiana had been mentioning before, and see if there is any of that that can be sussed out.
Okay. Let's get a roll. On combat roll. That's probably. Oops, go ahead.
I don't know if this would matter, but I think Ronan's kind of doing the same thing, but he's hitting up the kind of the drinking establishments, the eateries,
Right.
things like that. He's doing that side of it, but kind of learning the city gossip and just keeping his ears to the ground.
Okay. So we can do that as a help action again. So you can either do a +1 additional die, or once you roll, you can decide to. What was the other thing? You can increase the kind of success it is. I think that's the other option. Oh no, it just counts as a success. So yeah, that would do the same thing. So investigation and street, I think.
I'll definitely take the +1 then, if that's all right.
Okay. So one additional die.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh, I got 3 of a kind.
Okay, so a critical success. Excellent. So some of this is conferring with, later with, Ronan as to what he has learned as well. piecing things together, you're able to find out that while the excitement for a large celebration, a large wedding is definitely genuine, that there is also a strong undercurrent of we better not fuck this up. Because if we do, Lady de Colletta's gonna be really pissed. And that apparently is a pretty scary thing.
In regards to that's a scary thing. Knowing I come from like a noble kind of household as well, is it scary as in regular scary for, you know, the servants under a noble, or is it more by more scary than even that? Like,
So yeah, more scary than that. With the critical success especially, you come to learn that there's more than a few of these people who are doing this work that are basically indentured servants of hers. That they did something that crossed her, that pissed her off, and they are now kind of indebted to her for what seems to be like a term limit that they're not exactly sure of how long it is.
I'll let other people decide what they want to do, but at some point I would like to talk to Mr. Brummell again.
Okay. While that is going on, while Ronan and Cassiani are putting their ears to the ground, what do the other three of you want to do other than bathing and getting rested up?
I'm going to try to find maybe the florist shop. Take Peaches with me.
Ooh, yeah.
She likes flowers, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go kind of ask similar questions, maybe try to eavesdrop a little bit, while seemingly I don't want to seem like I'm trying to get info. I want to, take my bee and let her smell the flowers while maybe
Mm-hmm.
overhearing the workers' conversations um about the festivities.
Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and get a roll from you as well. Probably the same, probably investigation and street. Yeah, I think if it was upper society, like it would probably be society instead of street. But this
I
specifically
didn't
the
have any
workers.
successes. None of my numbers
None.
match.
Okay. So, you are, um, you're there with Peaches, and Peaches is just beside herself. She's just absolutely vibrating, with excitement, and is going from flower to flower to flower to flower, and cannot make up her mind. And you're trying to kind of listen in on some of the conversations that are happening. But most of these people, they don't seem like they're directly involved with the work that's being done for the wedding itself. It seems like they are, they are the florist, so that makes sense. Um, okay, so they are doing work for the wedding itself, making floral arrangements and things of that nature. And I would imagine too that there's probably even like there's got to be things like whole banners, and like materials of like or pieces of clothing and stuff that are being cut out of the flower petals themselves, because these flowers would be huge. Um, and you know, it's almost like being made into confetti, so that that can be, you know, tossed like rose petals or something to that effect. But I think with that role, I think they kind of button up whenever you come in. There might be one of them that kind of starts to say something, and the other one just kind of nudges her, and she looks up and sees that, you know, there's someone here, and they just completely zip it. Zip it good. Everybody's singing it now. Okay. Anybody else? That? Yeah.
I'm probably, once I visited the local doctor and tended to some of my wounds and such, also would definitely have sought out the bath and clean clothes. I'm not interested in eavesdropping or hobnobbing amongst the help or the lower denizens of society. I know who I am, and I'm assuming others know who I am. So I'm going to be making sure, not making sure, I'm going to be seeing who else of importance is here for the wedding, with the assumption that these are my peers. So it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum of what some of the others have been doing. I'm definitely aiming for high society here.
All right. Okay, so I think that's still going to be an investigation, but that'll be a society investigation instead.
Not great. Society is a 1. Investigation is a 2. No matches.
Okay. So there's definitely a microcosm of the nobility throughout the household that is present. There are diplomats and representatives of high society from basically each of the separate kingdoms. You know, there are some from the basement, there are some from, you know, the rooms upstairs, there are some from the dining room. There's a wide selection of the different races of littlings here in the house. Fairies and the sprites, the slough, and there's a fourth one that I'm drawing a blank on. But they're also present.
The boggarts.
Boggarts, that's the one. Those are the ones that can like make themselves big. Right? Yeah. They're cool. So yeah, there's definitely a like a swell in the population here, especially amongst kind of the social elite. Definitely here for the wedding. But I think it's the opposite problem. I think that there is so much gossip that you're having a hard time finding anything that seems to be relevant to Lady de Colletta and this wedding.
Would this be... I have a move called Do You Know Who I Am?
I already
That
love it.
allows me to react against a littling rolling authority +1 instead of the requested skill.
Oh,
I
interesting.
would like to argue that in this case where I'm having trouble getting anybody to, trying to find the right people to learn what I'm looking for, to pull the "Do you know who I am?" card and re-roll that with authority and +1 instead of investigation.
Okay. Yeah, let's do
Which
it.
will give me 6 dice to roll instead of 3.
Fantastic.
And I
Yeah, I
imagine
think I like
the good
that.
doctor literally saying, "Do you know who I am?" Even with 6 dice.
No.
Okay. Well, how does this work? I got 2 2s and 2 6s.
Okay, so that's 2 basic successes.
Okay.
So you could effectively learn 2 potential things, or you could use one of them to upgrade the other to a critical success and maybe learn one bigger piece of information.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm not about finding a lot about a little, or a little about a lot. I want to find out a lot about a specific thing.
Okay, so I'm going to convert that into a critical success. And
Finally, somebody does know who I am.
The person that you're talking to says, "Oh, you're Dr. Meredith. I pictured somebody much younger from the story I had heard. No offense, of course."
None taken. But yes, I am Dr. Mercer Alexis Meredith.
You traveled here with the groom, or did you not? Mr. Brummell.
Yes. It is fair to say that the groom made it here because of myself and my companions.
I heard that you had quite the journey across the study. You look like you fared well enough.
I'm here to tell the tale.
Well, perhaps you could shed some light on this situation, but Mr. Brummell seems a fine sort, but isn't the Lady de Colletta marrying a little below her class?
I have spent many days traveling with Mr. Brummell, and I can assure you that, despite what you may have heard, he is much of a much higher caste than many give him credit for.
See, I simply assume his lack of title and station just equated to, the sort of riffraff that
Well,
try to break in through the glass ceiling, as it were.
no offense to you, but you do realize what they say about those who assume.
Well, I don't know what you're speaking of. He kind of blusters. Perhaps his uniqueness is precisely what the lady is after. I have heard that she is quite fond of her collection.
A collection?
Yes, she collects rare things, apparently. And that extends to people.
Perhaps. If that's the case, then it is assured that Mr. Brummell is a rare individual indeed, which is rather refreshing, seeing that there are so many, well, so many that are of a common variety around. Now, if you will excuse me.
Of course. Lovely to see you, Doctor.
The pleasure was all yours.
I don't even think that they catch your snide little, like, cutting remark, as they've already moved on to whoever it is that they spotted next and are already beginning their schmooze all over again. So, that is the secret that you have learned, the rumor that you have learned. Is there anything else that any of you want to do before you go and meet the woman who hired you to escort Mr. Brummell here and get your paycheck?
I think that Rosalind would kind of stay in the little, hole in the wall inn that they're in. And I think she would more listen to, the patrons of that to see what's being said there.
Okay. So, still probably investigation. Lots of dropping eaves going on. Street or society? Where was it you were saying you were going to again? To over
In the inn that we're at, she's just drinking and
okay.
listening.
Mm-hmm. So probably street then. Investigation
Okay.
and street.
So let's see. I have a basic success. That's all I have. 2 5s.
Okay. Basic success. Okay. You hear a few people discussing that that Tatiana has arrived. Tatiana Azalea, the woman that you also traveled with here with Mr. Brummell. People seem very excited that she is here in Bookshire and is going to be performing at the wedding. But you also catch wind that she's not the only entertainer in town. You learn that Vispa Shistar has also arrived in Bookshire. And this is particularly interesting to you because you just saw Vispa Shistar not that long ago in what is it called? Damn it.
Downridge?
Downridge, thank you. In Downridge. She was the one sitting at the table with your nemesis.
Awesome.
Okay. So, now that all of you little birds have gathered information, Varys is very proud of you. What? Okay, is there anything else that you want to do before you go see the lady? I think that's what's coming next.
I did want to talk to Mr. Brummell.
You want it? Yes, of course. Okay. You can easily find him. He is okay. You are walking past some of these row houses and stores, and you actually spot him in the tailor's shop. He is being fitted for his tuxedo for the wedding.
Does it look like he's almost finished with the fitting, or does it look like they're just kind of starting?
How urgent were you searching for him?
I mean, it's not like terribly urgent. I don't want to interrupt if he's in the middle of it, but I
Okay.
will wait if it doesn't look like it's going to be that long. I will wait outside for him.
Okay. So yeah, they're nearing the end, or you can, wait the short amount of time. I imagine that it's probably been largely done. It's just like he's being like the final fitting, the few adjustments and things that are going to have to be made. So yeah, whenever you enter, he kind of looks into the mirror, which I think is like a compact, like a woman's compact that has been like opened up 90 degrees and like the place where the the makeup would have been has been like finished out as like a platform to stand on, and he's standing looking in the large circular mirror that's the other half of the compact. Oh,
Cass,
Miss Victoria.
yeah, and I think Cassiani has probably been almost staring staring at his reflection this entire time, and then when he notices her, she kind of looks down and she blushes a little bit, having been caught staring at him in his finery. Um, Sir, when you have a moment, I would like a chance to chat with you again.
Oh, of course, yes. Would you excuse us? He says to the tailor, who kind of just gives a curt nod, and then turns and kind of gives you the room.
Cassiani would definitely look around and make sure that there's no idle ears listening in, and she would lean
Apparently,
in a
just the
little
other
bit.
members of your party. No, I'm kidding.
And she would lean in a little bit and in a lowered voiced um are you sure you want to do this?
He looks um a little hesitant to answer. And he says, "I mean, all of you came all this way to make certain that I got here safely, and a promise is a promise."
You didn't sign an agreement or anything, did you?
Well, no, the marriage contract has not been signed formally yet. As it so happens, I have not seen Lady de Colletta since we have arrived.
So there's still a chance that you can get out of this engagement.
Get out! The, this has been planned for months now. Cassiani,
Just worried for you. The more I hear, the more. How well do you really know her? Know what you're getting into?
well, how well does anyone in our station know one another? I mean, truly.
Once you sign that marriage contract, you're bound.
Is there something that you wish to tell me?
Remember earlier, weeks ago when we first started out and we told you about the rumors that we had heard about how she treats her people, and how there was the rumor that she collects things. Well, I've heard more
Yes.
disturbing things since I've been here from the workers. Some of them are indebted to her, indentured for an indeterminate period of time. They're afraid of her. Not like a regular worker in a noble household. No, they are afraid for their lives of her. This is the woman that you want to marry?
So the choice do I have?
You can say no. You can walk away now before it's too late.
Cassiani, I would become a lord. I would have the real power to change things.
Would you have power? You'd be lord in name only, I fear. You would lose everything for a title. Is it
And
really worth that?
if I walk away, I ruin my reputation.
Reputations, while important, can be fixed. But your life, once bound to hers, is, well, if some of the things I've heard and suspect are true, your life would no longer be your own.
And you believe that there is a better place for me to bind myself? Is there a better option available to me?
This, I think Cassian is a little bit flustered. But then she tries to regain her composure a little bit. Better? I mean, title-wise, maybe not, but life-wise, happiness-wise, I hope you'd consider it better.
I think there's a long pause as he kind of turns back to the mirror to kind of study himself in this suit. Kind of looks himself over. I suppose this is a bit much. Well, damn it all then. What are we going to do? Do we simply walk away? Leave now?
Yes.
Should I tell her something to her face? Write her a note? How do I proceed?
I hadn't thought that far ahead, actually. I'm afraid. A letter might be good, yeah. Have you said you haven't met her in person in a while, right?
No, it has been some time. I am afraid, however, if I am not delivered to her, then you and the good doctor and your sister and Mr. Flynn and Miss Pine, you would not receive your payment. I certainly could not afford to compensate you for the harsh journey.
I cannot speak for the others, but I would be willing to forgo that. But you might be right to keep what dignity that would remain in, and maybe to save her face. And if she is the woman that I fear she is, having her save her face would maybe mitigate the anger and thus the reprisal that she would lash out with. So maybe delivering the message in person would be, while dangerous, also the most wise.
You think that the others will feel the same way?
Well, we could ask them. But whatever your decision is, I will stand behind you.
He smiles, kind of weakly at first, and then is bolstered as he kind of looks at your reflection in the mirror. And then he kind of takes a backwards step, kind of in your direction, and then just kind of extends his hand towards you, kind of back behind his back. Thank you.
She would reach out and clasp his and just kind of nod and smile.
You are a dear friend, Miss Victoria.
I'm glad you think so.
Okay. I think we find ourselves sometime shortly after this, later, when the group has kind of gathered back together, probably with the initial understanding that you were going to then travel to meet with Lady de Colletta and collect your payment, and finally put this this ordeal behind you, and turn your attentions to the wedding. Where are we whenever we catch back up with the group of you together again? Where is this meeting taking place? That question is for anybody to field.
Would we be meeting with Lady de Colletta?
Yeah, I think this is kind of like where your group has gone their separate directions, done their preparations, gathered their intel, and then is coming back together to then travel together as one to go meet the lady.
Probably at the inn, I would guess, that we were all staying in.
Perfect. Yeah, it's like the common room where you ate earlier or something. So Mr. Brummell is already seated at one of the larger tables, and he has his hands kind of folded in front of him on the table, and he looks a little uncomfortable as you all kind of gather, and he says, clearing his throat, I wanted to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every single one of you for ensuring that I reached Bookshire safely. The journey here was a lot more difficult than I ever would have thought possible, and many of you put yourselves in harm's way at my behest. I don't know that I could ever repay the debt that I owe you. He kind of like falters, and he looks towards Cassiani.
She gives him a nod of encouragement.
I am afraid that I have arrived at a very difficult decision. It has been brought to my attention that the Lady de Colletta is not an honorable woman. She, in fact, seems to be rather cruel. And I have determined not to marry her. Is there any kind of reaction at this table where you all are now seated?
I gasp and then I start laughing. Just shock and also relief.
I think he's kind of caught off guard by the laughter at first. Not really sure how you intend it to come across. And I think that there's maybe like a nervous laugh that he kind of joins you with before kind of looking around the table.
I try to gather myself together and I say, I'm so sorry, Mr. Brummell. This is a very serious situation, but I can't help but think about everything we just went through and the terrible things you endured to get here, to realize that she is not the woman you want to be with. And I'm so happy for you. I'm happy that you realized it before you married her.
Yes, I suppose that I feel the same way. It is, in a certain light, rather absurd, I suppose. Uh, he kind of genuinely starts to laugh a little. Perhaps it won't be the last danger that I managed to avoid. So, none of you are going to be cross if you discover that the purpose in bringing me here is, well, is for naught.
I'm assuming that you're alluding to the fact that we get paid.
I lost the last thing of what you said, Nathan. Alluding to...
Assuming that you're alluding to the fact that we won't get paid.
I...
Won't get paid, he said.
Oh, thank you. He looks rather kind of sheepish. I cannot afford to repay you. I can pay each of you, though I am afraid not the promised sum that the Lady de Colletta had promised to each of you.
I think like partially into that sentence, Ronan holds his hand up and just tries to kind of stop Brummel from talking. And he just looks him over for a moment. And then he locks eyes with him and he says, "Do you love her?"
Lady de Colletta? No. No, I do not.
That's a good enough answer for me. And he's probably at that point gonna get up from the table and go wherever they're getting drinks or whatever they're imbibing here and get another round and bring it to the table.
Excellent. Yeah, there's probably a really nice mulled wine here. Like literally made from fermented mold. And it's, quite popular. A decent vintage, as it were. Especially for a, semi hole in the wall. That was the laughter, Jake. I was cracking myself up.
Yep.
Okay.
I think in the discussion of Mr. Brummel lamenting not being able to pay us, and everybody else, we're all seem to be on board with the fact that he's making the decision not to go through with this. I would just add, it was the lady who made the contract with us to deliver you. The contract stipulation was not based upon whether or not you go through with the wedding. With that said, you are not obligated to provide us with any sort of payment. It is the lady who is on the hook, as it were, to pay us, should we decide to pursue that.
He nods. You're true. You are correct. It's, I believe the agreement was that you would be responsible for my safe delivery to Bookshire, and you certainly have done that. Very well. We should go before her so that she can see that I indeed have arrived safely in Bookshire, and you have fulfilled your end of the bargain. She will have to make good on her word. And I can tell her to her face, and again he kind of looks to Cassiani, that the wedding is off. Right, he says as he kind of like stands up and pulls his jacket down, straightening his attire. Then I am ready to face the music, as it were.
Cassiani would stand up beside him. I will be right there with you.
Okay. You begin to make your way up the shelves of Bookshire, climbing in height, as you are likewise climbing in status, if you will. Where is... Okay. And before long, you find yourself in a resplendent manor house that is probably encyclopedic in length, and is incredibly well appointed. It is the only building here on the topmost shelf, and there are gendarmes everywhere, armed guards that are wearing the livery of House de Colletta. And you ascend this last kind of staircase up here, and the molds and mushrooms here have been cultivated in very straight decorative rows that kind of lead you to this manor house. You announce your arrival. There's a lot of fanfare surrounding the arrival of Mr. Brummell in particular. There is a lot of, ladies in waiting, and, the young, matrons, the unmarried maidens and things that are whispering and pointing and laughing and giggling. And this is all quite a bit of to do here in Bookshire. When you enter the manor house itself and you are announced, it is not long before Lady de Colletta comes down to meet you. Lady de Colletta is a very beautiful woman, fairy, but she is also quite cold. Um, any exchange that you see from her, any interaction is saccharine sweet and superficial. She gives her staff kind of a dismissive wave to get them from to leave the room, and she turns to Mr. Brummell and she sweeps over towards him. My dear Mr. Brummell. And she kind of lands next to him and starts to immediately like touch the upper arms of his jacket and kind of adjust the clothing of his like collar and the front of his jacket. He kind of yes, Lady de Colletta. He kind of bows. Yes, it's quite the story of how we came to be here. Yeah, several of us almost died, he says, almost like blurting it out in complete, like, nervous shambles. There was a horrifying rat and an enormous spider. Yes, how are you? He says, again, kind of nervously. And the lady kind of smiles, again, a very practiced kind of response. She says, I am very well now that you are finally here, of course. I have waited so long for this, and it does my heart very good to see you. She reaches up and kind of like touches the side of his face. Again, with like a familiarity that you don't feel is reciprocated in the least. Well, I am very busy, as you might expect, for the wedding. So, you all have fulfilled your bargain in delivering escorting Mr. Brummell here. So, I suppose that all of you are due your payment. Please, follow me. And she begins to turn and leave the room. And Mr. Brummell speaks up. Actually, she stops and does not turn around. There is a dangerous, feeling to how abruptly she stops. She almost, tenses. When she doesn't turn around, Mr. Brummell continues. I actually need to speak with you, Lady de Colletta, on the matter of our nuptial agreement. There's again kind of a long silence that she does not move a muscle during. And then she spins around on her heel with that very practiced grin on her face, that curt smile. Whatever do you mean? I'm certain that the paperwork is all in order, and everything has already been agreed to. There's been a lot of money that has been spent to make this absolutely perfect. I can't imagine there being any other details that need to be discussed. Do any of you have anything to say? Or reacting in any way during this exchange between these two?
When she had her back turned and was walking away and then stopped before she's turned back, Cassiani would have moved closer to Mr. Brummell to give him that moral support. Not standing like close, make it obvious close, but right there so he knows that she's still there for him in this moment.
Okay.
I
Anyone
think
else?
that Ronan probably doesn't have his hand on his knife, but his hand has ever inched closer to that area as he's like very subtly kind of shuffled and shifted his feet to be in a better position to be it close to Brummell's side if something goes south.
I was gonna say, I think Rosalind's doing something similar. Like her hands were probably kind of folded in front of her, and now that it seems the tension is rising, she's kind of, I imagine she might have like side-eyed Ronan when she saw movement, and now she's kind of doing the same thing.
Just imagine we're like
Yeah.
slowly shifting to opposite sides.
Yep.
All right. You notice that Lady de Colletta doesn't seem to notice the two of you kind of working your way to like the flanks as much. The thing that she absolutely notices, however, is that Cassiani has moved to stand behind Mr. Brummell in a show of support. Mr. Brummell kind of looks back at you, Cassiani, and kind of weakly smiles, and you can see a little bit of resolve kind of return to his stance, and he turns around to meet her gaze again, and she narrows her eyes at you, Cassiani.
I do not break her gaze. I stare right back at her.
I see, she says. And this is the way that you conduct yourself, Miss Victoria? Is this becoming of a diplomat?
Whatever you do, you mean. Miss de Colletta, I am here as an escort. We escorted this fine gentleman safe and sound here. I intend to see that he remains such.
And is it customary in the upstairs to support people who break their promises? People who decide to run away at the altar? Is it the Victoria family way to break up a happy home?
Cassiani would actually, at this point now, step to Mr. Brummell's side, being that she's being addressed. I am aware of no such formal agreement being made between the two. No papers were yet signed. Is it the de Colletta family's creed to push people into agreements they no longer wish to partake in? Is that how we conduct business?
You can see, even though she wears a lot of rouge on her cheeks and quite a lot of a pale foundation, you can see the color rise in her face beneath these layers of makeup. How dare you? You come into my city with my groom, and you stand before me and speak to me as if you are my equal?
No one is your equal, my lady.
She screams with that kind of shrill, piercing frustration, like a small child who is not getting their way. And at the end of this scream, she calls out, "Vitspa!" And one of the doors that lead into this room open, and you can see the woman that you all met before, the traveling entertainer with the prosthetic arm, with these brilliant colored traveling garments that are very much meant to kind of accentuate and emphasize every movement. Like every movement that she makes, something on her clothing moves in the opposite direction or jingles with noise, very much dressed as an entertainer, a performer. She carries with her this very large lute that she kind of has slung over her back, and she enters the room with no small amount of agility and grace, very lithe and kind of flowing in her movements. And I think, I think at the very least, Ronan and Rosalind would recognize that her footwork is not merely the footwork of a dancer, that she knows her way around a sword fight. So she steps forward and reaches up to the neck of this mandolin, and she draws out a blade that was hidden inside of its neck and sets the instrument against the wall and takes a stance very similar to like a fencer's, probably not entirely dissimilar from the way that we've seen Rosalind fight, if I'm not mistaken. It's a lot more finesse kind of based. And she very clearly intends to do the bidding of her mistress. You can see the look on her face is a little conflicted, but she seems like she's intent on going through with this. She squares off in front of Cassiani, and she's going to lunge forward. Does anybody want to do anything?
Oh, most definitely. I've got a fresh new scythe hook thing that needs to be used.
All right. So how are you bringing this about? Trying to catch her weapon? You trying to hurt her first?
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to stop this. I I don't want anyone getting hurt if they don't have to be. So I think Ronan's gonna start with attempting to stop what's happening currently.
Okay. You're just basically going to try to knock the weapon away or knock her off target. Okay, so let's go with war and strength. Literally trying to like knock a weapon off of its target.
Could I make an argument for dexterity if I'm trying to like hook this weapon and
Oh,
kind
okay.
of almost seize control of it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Less of a brute force trying to stop it and more of a, kind of using the curve of the hook to try to, twist it.
That is a basic success.
Okay. So that is going to deal 2 stress to her. And then that puts her at a move. Parry or disarm or fluster or pile on. Okay. Let's see. Huh, interesting. He ignores the the next success. Okay. She is going to parry, but what that means is that she's going to ignore the next successful attack that's made against her. So I think probably what happens is you manage to disarm her sword, or at the very least kind of get it caught up and taken, off point. And while she's trying to recover her stance, get her weapon free, what have you, she brings this prosthetic arm kind of up in front of her, and the parts that kind of form the forearm of her arm kind of splay out almost like a small shield, and is going to make it more difficult for somebody to actually hurt her. Okay, she's at 2 stress. But for the time being, at least, her lunge towards Cassiani has been averted. As Ronan has sprung into action, is anybody else doing anything?
Rosalind is going to move to stand in front of Cassiani. Basically as like a barrier. I would like to use my move. It's called Unguard. It gives me and a friend a +1 on our next reaction rolls, and I am going to choose Ronan since we are the ones fighting.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, you kind of impose yourself in between her as Ronan has just kind of created this opening, like knocking her weapon aside. You step right into where she was attempting to try to lunge at Cassiani, and brandish your weapon straight at her, and you are going to be able to provide a distracting form of defense for both yourself and Ronan. Anybody else?
I I think I would like to, just as this action is starting to take place, these first weapons have been drawn, and the lady has made a very unladylike presentation in her tantrum. mustering every bit of authority that I have, I'm going to take a step forward and just not so much yelling, but sort of almost matching her energy. Firmly say, would everybody please just get control of themselves?
Okay. Definitely an authoritative approach. And I think maybe this is society and authority.
Okay. That'll be 5.
Okay.
I completely lost that. I rolled 5d6s into a pile of 5d6s and
Oh, no.
lost them. Hold on. Let me move my dice out of the tray. There we go. That is a 5, a 5, a 5, a 4, and a 6. So a critical success.
Wow. Okay. All right. So critical success is going to... I put her at 5. Okay. She is at 5. So she falters whenever you boom. And her persistence at continuing this fight wavers. And Lady de Colletta kind of turns her narrowed gaze towards you, Doctor, and says, "Who do you think you are, giving orders in my home?"
I'm clearly the one with the most sense and maturity in this situation. You are throwing a tantrum like a petulant child because you didn't get your way, with no concern for the feelings or thoughts of Mr. Brummell. It is only your own thoughts that you are concerned with. You hired us to do a job. We did that job. It is not upon us if Mr. Brummell does not wish to go through with this wedding. It is his choice. You are so used to getting your own way that your only solution is to sick your cronies upon those who you disagree with. I will not stand for it. That's who I am.
Again, this color beneath her makeup is still risen. She's kind of visibly like huffing. You can see like her shoulders kind of rising and falling. That kind of, the clavicle area kind of at the base of her neck. You can see the definition like appear and disappear with each breath. She says, "And this woman who so quickly stands beside my former groom? You are perfectly at ease with what is obviously going on here?"
Sorry? I thought we were all adults here. Are we in some sort of primary school? That you are so concerned that another woman stands near your man? This is absurd. We've spent days traveling across treacherous terrain together. Would you be mad if I were standing next to him? And I will go stand next to him.
What exactly occurred on this trek of yours? I'm starting to wonder what sort of people you are.
We are the sort of people who accept contracts, follow the terms of those contracts, and see them through to their end with the expectation that the other party involved in the contract will do the same.
she is like fuming. You can see like the veins on the sides of her temples, like very prominent. Vispa, put away your weapon. The entertainer seems relieved. She sheaths her sword, and she kind of steps back, kind of holding up a hand in no contest towards Ronan and Rosalind. She kind of mouths, "I'm sorry," towards you. The Lady de Colletta says, "I suppose that our agreement has been fulfilled." Should have worded it more carefully, I suppose, but very well. You will be paid in full. Take this man. She kind of indicates Mr. Brummell. Wherever it is he wishes to go. As long as it is not in Bookshire. None of you are welcome here any longer. Now go.
I will bow deeply to her and say, "It has been a pleasure doing business with you. I will be sure that my peers and others in my circles are aware of just how honorable you are in your business dealings. Good day."
Cassiani would, as Lady de Colletta had said those last words, go and take him and leave now. Cassiani would spare a glance towards Mr. Brummell to see how he is faring at this.
He seems disturbed by this exchange. That this is not the way that he was expecting this to go. While he was expecting her to be upset, it wasn't like this in his mind. But if you thought Vispa looked relieved, Mr. Brummell looks absolutely beside himself with relief, though he is doing very well to contain it at the moment. He sees that you're kind of looking at him, and he looks back at you, and under his breath, he says, "Thank you."
Cassiani would just kind of mouth the words, "You're welcome," back before kind of giving him that slight little indication to let's go while she still lets us go.
As soon as we step outside and we walk a little bit away from this, where this room was, I will turn to probably to Ronan, and just look at him and suddenly go, "Oh my, was that exhilarating?" And sort of almost stumble and grab hold of him for support. If that hadn't have worked, I don't know what I would have done.
I think that might have been braver than yelling at the spider. He just kind of claps Stock on the back and gives him a smile.
Well, let's just make sure that words of my bravery don't spread too far. I wouldn't want others expecting such behavior on a regular basis.
Mr. Brummell makes his way around to each of you, like enthusiastically grabbing your hand and like shaking it up and down. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. You saved me again today. You are all incredibly brave and quite stubborn, he says, kind of when he gets to the doctor, shaking his hand. I am forever in your debt, truly. Each and every one of you. I think I'm going to do a little bit of traveling. But not through the Yule Forest. I think I'll stick to the road from here on out. All of you are given the payment that you had been promised. You were promised a contract that would be signed with the fortune of the house. This contract is called Favored by Fortune. And in addition, each one of you is given a personal boon that is tailored to your particular vocation or strengths. From Lady de Colletta's collection, which you discover does indeed contain many people, including the entertainer known as Vispa Shistar. But once you receive your rewards, you are free to leave and head wherever else within the house it is that you deem you wish to go. And that is everything that I had planned. So I think that's going to be the end of our little tale. We did it! The finale. See, I told you. I promised.
Can't believe I just yelled the boss down.
This game's kind of built that way. It's kind of interesting.
You did so well though. Like
It was
that was fantastic.
honestly, it was the fact that she was basically pulling the "Do you know who I am?" and the haughty attitude that I think the doctor just, as a man of decorum, it pissed him off that she was actually being insulting to their station. And if I could do a Sean Connery accent, that felt very much like Dr. Jones in The Last Crusade, like the kind of man who's been around for a while and has no problem putting somebody in their place.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I apologize if you wanted your moment of glory in a final fight, but
no,
I had to speak up, and I did not know it was going to go that way.
That's the way that I had set it up, was that she's not a fighter. Like, that's why she has Vispa in her employ. So she was going to be relatively easy to take out if it was a direct, attack on her. And a social attack, again, in this game, is the exact same as a physical attack. And it makes even more sense that she would be susceptible to that. So, yeah, no, I was super pleased with that.
It was this game
Go
was
ahead.
interesting, playing a non-combat character, a support character that truly has no real strengths in. I mean, doesn't even carry a weapon, quite frankly.
Right.
And to, I think it's a testament to my age that lately I've been playing more and more fatherly type characters, or characters that look out for the party, and kind of try to keep everybody safe. And it worked out this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like games like this, you know, that have that as a possibility, where not everything is solved by the sword, where it's still an option, you know. Those characters are always needed, but where that doesn't have to be the way that it's done. Or where, when that's the approach that the players take, that the GM has to scramble to come up with some way of adjudicating that, you know, that it's all the same as far as the game is concerned.
Were you planning for the possibility that Mr. Brummell would be talked out of the wedding?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I figured that somebody was going to go to him and tell him how much of a shit she was. And again, in my mind at least, the kinds of stories that take place in like Regency era, you know, stories, there's always that impending relationship, that impending marriage between two people that don't really know each other that well. That's kind of a heart of a lot of the stories, and obviously whenever you go about doing things that way, it's more often than not you find out that the person you're tying yourself to is not somebody that you really can stand. So I just kind of took that and just cranked the knob up on it a little bit. There was one thing that I didn't get to do. In her bedroom, Lady de Colletta has a music box that has it's one of the ones with a spinning ballerina in it. And she likes to turn that music box on and dance with that ballerina. At some point during the fight, it was going to get broken, and you were going to discover that there was a skeleton inside of it.
Yikes.
But
Hey.
anyways, this was a lot of fun. I'm really, really happy with the story that we managed to tell with this system. Even not being super familiar with it, all of you were very patient with me, and I deeply appreciate that. So I'm going to pass everything over to you as players so that you can say whatever goodbye that you would like to. And we're going to call it an evening. We're going to go in the same order that we went before, and we're going to start with Jake.
Yeah, as I said, this was pretty incredible. Thinking back on it, I believe I missed the very first session that we played of this. But was able to slip in with no problem after that. And even with the space we had between sessions, it felt good just sort of once we got into it, we kind of slipped back into our roles, and I really like that we had a pretty diverse group of characters, not just in terms of their heredities, but their utility. You know, we had a couple of fighters. We had Sarah playing the veterinarian type character that really. You think about a role playing game and you're like, how useful is a veterinarian? Turns out extremely extremely useful in this setting. And yeah, everybody had their strengths and weaknesses, and I think we really got to play around with those. And this is just a great group to role play with, and have that interplay between your NPCs and each of our characters. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. The only other thing I want to say is twitch.tv/mini terrain domain, April 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Celebrity D&D.
I'm not saying anything, but I would just like to point out that this event is taking place on the 20th of
we're
April.
all acknowledging that it's on 420.
All right. See you in the chat. Yeah, no, I'm super duper looking forward to that. That's going to be a blast. So yeah, man, and I'm super stoked for you. I mean, your channel has done incredibly well. And that's in no small amount due to the fact that you and Dwight and you have put in a lot of hard work, and you deserve it. So I'm super duper stoked that this is becoming even bigger than the last event, which is fucking bonkers because the last event was massive. So I know that it's going to go gangbusters, and especially the fact that it's going to go to a charity is just that. I mean,
That's
yeah, it just ticks all the boxes.
I love playing role-playing games with my friends. I love streaming that. I love doing miniature painting and mini terrain and crafting and all that kind of stuff. But what I really like doing is using my nerd powers for good. Finding that we could
That's right.
do this and that there was a need out there and that we are able to fill a need, and that Hollywood celebrities are saying, hey, you're pretty good at this, do you want to come help us with this thing? And we approach that from a professional point of view, but there's still that point of us, that part of us that's constantly going, oh my gosh,
Geeks
oh
out.
my gosh,
Yeah,
Jonathan Frakes, I'm
for
gonna talk to
sure.
Will Wheaton. There's that. But yeah, and I do want to acknowledge that, as I said before, it's in large part the help that Dwight provides behind the scenes, but also the community. um Mini Terrain Domain has just we're very lucky to have the community that we have, that kind of just steps up for these kind of events. So I'm super thankful to have
Yeah.
the people, which includes pretty much all of you in that community as well. So we're super thankful for everybody in the community.
You're here. Speaking of super thankful for, next up we have Karen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this game, for indulging us and making this trilogy a quadrilogy.
I just can't land trilogies apparently.
It was so much fun. Really enjoyed that end battle. I was so nervous and afraid for all of us, and it was amazing. And I was like, Cassiani inside was like, thank you, Dr. Meredith, saying these words. It was, she's like, yes. Love the game, love the people, love playing this with all of you. It was so amazing. I can't wait for April 20th to play. I am honored to be part of the mod team like I was last year. So I get to fangirl in our mod chat. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a blast. It was last year, and I can't imagine that this would be any less of a wonderful time. So looking forward to it. Can't wait. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, I very much feel the same way. I'm also going to announce here on the channel next month, our next one shot that we're going to be doing is going to be another Mad Max Mecha Hack game. I just gathered all the players for that the other day, and we're starting to discuss details and things like that. So I don't know exactly what day of May that it will occur on, but it's meant to kind of be somewhat correlated with the release of Furiosa, which I am super stoked about. I hope that it's good. I'm pretty sure it will be, but we'll see. So yeah, be sure to tune in whenever that gets dropped. All right. Speaking of, be sure to tune in. Next is Sarah Nelson.
I hate when you do that.
Sorry, not
You
sorry.
lie. Fuck. This was fantastic. I loved playing with everybody here. I always love being able to be a part of, Jeremy's channel, Jake's channel. I feel very, very lucky to be a part of this community. This game was absolutely fantastic. When I had been approached about this game, I was like, ooh, this sounds really, really cool. And I've actually had a couple friends who occasionally pop in and watch this, and they have all asked me to run a game for them. So we're gonna do that. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think. This has helped me a lot to prepare for that. This has been just a fantastic experience. I really, really like this system. Again, a lot of it is the people that we played with. I absolutely adored playing with all of you guys, and I always loved just the chance to be able to play with everybody here. You guys are absolutely amazing, and you just make this a lot more fun.
No, you're amazing. It's about as close
No.
as I get to a Keanu impression. I guess it's not entirely true. Whoa. Um, no, seriously. Yeah, I have played with you in a number of games. I say recently, but it's probably been within the last 2 years or so.
Yeah.
And yeah, you knock it out of the park every time. So I love having you on, Sarah. So thank
I
you for
still get
agreeing.
talked about the ghost, so that's always the fun one.
Yep. Yeah, I really, really, really liked this system, particularly the setting. I'm in love with the setting because I've always been a sucker for this trope, this, tiny people in a big world where mundane things become extraordinary. And I don't know if the Kickstarter is still going on, but I know that Two Little Mice are making Household on Kickstarter, but all of the mechanics are done to be compatible with D&D 5e. So it's a whole separate Kickstarter. I don't know, like I said, if it's still going on or not, but it just was announced not that long ago. So, anyways, yeah, I'm super happy that that there's people who have found this game through this campaign and are looking to play it now. That makes me really, really happy. It's done actually really, really well here on the channel. It very quickly rose into, like, I think it's one of the videos is in the top 10 of my channel, which is pretty impressive for having been around for 8 years. So yeah, I'm super happy with that. And thank you for being a wonderful player. Speaking of being around for nearly 8 years, next up is Nathan.
I don't know if it's been quite that long, but yeah.
You're older than that?
Well, I'm older than that, but I don't know if I've been around here for 8 years. Maybe in littling
Not
years,
yet, my
maybe.
friend. Not yet.
You guys are awesome. I am always extremely honored when I can either weasel my way into one of Jeremy's games or get invited to one of Jeremy's games. Period. I always count it as an honor because Jeremy runs a great game, but I also know that I'm going to be playing with a great cast of people. I don't have to worry about the other players or the other players' characters or anything like that. I know it's going to be a ton of fun. There's going to be a lot of moments to RP off of, and I'm pretty sure I've played with everybody here but Jake before. And while I haven't played with Jake, I've watched hours and hours and hours of Jake's videos. So in a way, I feel like I have played in some of those games. Just watching hours of the Dawnbringers over and over and over and over. It's great. We just every time Jeremy gets a crew together, I feel like it's just he knocks it out of the park, not only with the game but the players. So I super enjoy just getting invited all the time. This is also a system that I would very much like to explore more because I feel like we ticked a lot of boxes, but I feel like there's things that we didn't even dive into, we didn't do anything with.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we use the aces at all, but there's a whole
so.
system with the aces and everything that you can use too.
Yeah, it's again, I know that I didn't run this 100% correctly, and that is absolutely on me. But this system is surprisingly robust. There's a lot to this system, and even though I think we didn't run it completely the right way, quote unquote, I'm super stoked with the story that we told with it. I'm really, really happy with what we made it do, whether it was right or not.
We played what, like 4 sessions, I think, and
Mhm.
I feel like with the amount of RP that we did I mean, even in just the first session, with how heavy some of that guy, I feel like we did a campaign in this setting just based on our character development through 4 sessions.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Awesome. All right, Sarah, are you there? She might not be. I know she had to step away to tuck in a kiddo. Okay. Well, Sarah, thank you very much for playing in this. If you watch this at some point later on, I really, really do appreciate that you expressed interest in this and that you came along and played with us. I love having you at my table. All right. I love all of you. Thank you so much for, again, not just being incredible players who can deliver such a compelling story filled with great moments with these characters, with a system that none of us really understand. That is a testament to all of you as players, truly. But you're also just really fun people to hang out with. We spent 4 hours together on a Friday night, and I can't really think of a lot of better ways that I would like to spend my Friday evening. Genuinely. So thank you for being wonderful human beings. Speaking of wonderful human beings, for those of you out there in the audience who watched along with us, whether you watched live tonight or whether you may be tuning in at some point further down the road and finishing up this saga, it is deeply appreciated that people come here for entertainment, and maybe even a little bit of education about this system, even if it is, taken with a grain of salt. It does my heart a lot of good that there are people that find enjoyment here at the channel. So if enjoyment is something that you found while you were here, please do all the stuff that the algorithm likes to see. Hit the like button, do the subscribe thing, share the link around, talk about it with your friends, do all that kind of stuff, pass the good word, help the channel grow, and I will be forever in your debt. Speaking of debt, something that doesn't bring you debt is kindness. Kindness is a free action, and it costs you nothing, absolutely nothing, to be kind to people. And the world is in a lot of hurt right now. So go out there and be nice. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and stick a fork in it. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.